by saying actually that it was really, really great to see both of you in person. Um, since we started the podcast, it's the first time we've actually seen each other in person. That was really awesome, even if it was just
Right.
like for a brief second, which was like, "Hi, Amy," in passing.
Like, hi, and we just kind of opposite directions, but it was at least nice to see you. Yeah, I got to see Erin for a few minutes actually. We weren't just running in opposite directions.
Despite my best efforts, she kept dodging me on Saturday night.
We were all trying to dodge you on Saturday night. I'm just kidding.
You failed miserably.
I failed. I failed miserably. But that's also your fault because you skipped out of your room without your wife knowing about it. So
Oh man, did I tell you about coming back? So I went down. They had, and we're at the embassy, and they just have like a Coke machine that's just on 24/7, pretty much. And so I went downstairs to go get just fountain water from that. Before we went to sleep, we came back from meeting with everybody and stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go fill up my cup. So I walked down, with this thing, and there's Tony and Chris Ward talking there, and I was like, oh, I'll say hi for like 5 minutes, and then it ended up being like an hour and a half or something, like while we were down there. And I come back, my wife's like dead asleep. And I show her a picture I took with Paul Levitt Cooper, and she's like, I figured it was something like that. She was like, I gave up on you. Because
yeah,
and she had also, like, she's not a brass player or anything like that, and she knows I organized this group, but she had no idea. She just completely, but she came with us. And it was funny too, because she listened to the European Championships with me on the whole way back and was talking about it, all that sort of thing. So, like, we talked about brass band being a drug. You can be a flute player and get it too.
yeah,
It's just as
really.
contagious.
And that was quite possibly the longest conversation I had with anybody the whole weekend.
That you were allowed to have. You were putting out
Yeah.
fires and running around and stuff.
Yeah, my weekend, and I'm not complaining about this because it was, it was important to do all this and the work that I had to do, but I was doing something the entire time. I had lunch on Thursday at noon, and then I didn't have another actual meal until Sunday at noon. You know,
Oh.
so I was so busy doing things the entire time that it was, whatever they had in the command center with snacks and donuts and whatever it was. I literally did not have an hour where I could go and sit down and have a meal. It was crazy. So and there was a lot of small little conversations, little hellos, but it was, Mark Taylor and myself were both um, really, really busy, running the contest. Kent Eversmeyer, who was running the contest from Huntsville, a lot of the Huntsville people, and a lot of the board members just, had a lot of work to do to make sure that the contest ran as smoothly as it did, even though there were a couple of things that didn't go as planned. We can get into some of those things as we go through the podcast. But you know, for me, it was important that everybody else got a chance to have all the meetings and discussions and catch up with friends and performances that they could possibly have. And I'll took it on the chin to make sure that those happened.
It was important. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the most important part about the competition, or than anything else, and especially when this is the first one in what, 3 years?
Yeah, the first one in 3 calendar years. Yeah, 19 was the last one. So, it was good to see all that, because that's always been the best part, is just making sure everyone's together. And after COVID, who knew what it actually could happen with that? We had 30 bands, which is, surprisingly good considering how things looked in January, with the Omicron and everything. And there were definitely some bands that, had Omicron happened a month earlier, would have drastically changed their ability to make it to the contest. So timing was everything. So having 30 bands was really great. Most of the people that were planning this contest, if not all of the people planning this contest this year, have never done it before. 3 years ago, the last contest was planned by, people who rotated off the board, and weren't intimately involved in the actual planning part of the contest. So we were all learning a lot of lessons, including a new host band and a new venue and all that. So, we were, we were hoping to catch everything that we could, and without having, with having, 4 months of planning blown up in our faces with the venue backing out. That was a critical part of the puzzle. Having to re-engineer 4 months worth of work into 1 week. I guess it was inevitable that there were going to be some mistakes, and 80% of the problems that we had were some sort of residual, effect from the venue backing out that we had. It's not an excuse. There are no excuses for the things that went wrong, but it's an explanation. But there were some unexcusable things that happened that, we will definitely make sure that they won't happen again. And we already know how to solve those problems and make sure that they don't happen. But we can go through them if people are interested in hearing what those were. Some people didn't notice much, and some people noticed everything. And I know it all, and I can talk about through just about all of it.
But I think overall, though, everybody was very complimentary of everything. I mean, the Huntsville band. I mean, our guys, the people who I had to work with and run into and all that sort of thing, they were phenomenal. Von Braun Center I liked a lot. Huntsville was great. I liked that town a lot. I had some of the best food I've ever had there. It was all fried. I don't think I ate a leafy green the whole time I was at NABBA, but what did you all think about the new spot, about Huntsville and Von Braun and all that sort of thing?
I was pleased with the location of my hotel. I was in the Hilton, and at first I was
Which Hilton are you referring to? Because they're all Hiltons. It seems like
the
Embassy?
Hilton downtown. It was like right across from. It was like you could walk pretty much right into the Von Braun like center, right across the street. It was fantastic.
You mean the Embassy? The Embassy Suites.
No, she's talking about there's a Hilton on the concert entrance. There was a Hilton across the street.
Oh, that's Hampton Inn. That's Hampton Inn. That's right across from Mark's on the corner, right across from the concert hall and the Rhythm on Monroe.
I don't know. My app that I had to download Hilton Honors to be able to unlock my room. So
Hampton Inn is a part of Hilton Hotels, right?
So I said Hampton. I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Yeah. Go on.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Regardless, I thought that hotel, at least the Dublin people who saw that hotel were like, I'm gonna stay here next time.
Yeah. Well, when we were there for our board meeting last August, that was a lot. It was an empty lot.
Really?
A brand new hotel. And that's why
maybe that's why it was so awesome. I was like, I think this is a great hotel. It was great. Yeah.
I definitely got my steps in staying at the Embassy, though, because it is attached to the Von Braun. That was not a lie. But where we were in the Von Braun, and the Von Braun being large enough to host the NCAA championship for basketball, we had to go all the way across. And but my favorite thing was having to walk through. There was some sort of youth basketball tournament or something going on Saturday, and it was a perfect example of dads can sleep anywhere. Because just across from the concessions, you would just see a dad just knocked out on the side, and just in the weirdest situations while their 4-year-old was just running around like crazy. It was hilarious. And it's interesting too, because with such a big venue, when you first open the door, especially from the Embassy Suites, and you open that door and you see how large it is, you go, oh no. When I was going to my rehearsal with my accompanist for the solo competition, I opened the door and I immediately texted her and I was like, I'm going to be late. I have no idea where I'm going. But once you start to figure out the lay of the land, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to figure it out, where the Playhouse was versus the various rehearsal rooms, and because you have to walk through the concert hall. There's a lot of stuff that's not normal for a lot of performing venues, but once you do it, it made a lot of sense. When we go back, it'll be a lot less stressful in terms of learning that layout.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that feedback that I got a lot of was that there were a lot of restaurants, but the restaurants were 3-4 blocks away, which would have been less of a problem if you could walk through the park to get there, but that was chained off for the art festival. And that
Right.
would have cut 10 minutes off of the walk time to get over there. That'd be a nice, enjoyable walk. But, the thing that, that wasn't really anticipated was that, people didn't really want to spend that much time going to eat. They wanted to eat fast and get back and listen to the bands. So there's a lot of suggestions about having food trucks right there at the Von Braun Center. So we'll probably be investigating that for next year, just to facilitate the faster eat times.
That'd be awesome.
That would be genuinely.
Yeah. So everything that happened, we took notes on, and we're gonna make improvements 100% around the board for everything. So, what else were your experiences like there, Amy, other than the hotel being right there next door?
I I thought it was a great location. We had some the drive down took most of us longer than we anticipated. I think that it was just um a not very going through Nashville, especially going through the cities that we went through. I think we're gonna have to plan differently next year as when we leave, because we ran into a little bit of traffic and then that stuck us in Nashville in rush hour. So it's like, oh, so we learned how to we might be leaving at a different time next year. Also, who would have thought that a nitrogen tanker catching fire on the highway would reroute traffic for like a day and a half? So that added a lot of time to our trip down. That couldn't be helped. That couldn't be helped. But like planning to drive through the cities, But I think I felt so happy when we finally got there, and I got to start seeing people, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like, I haven't seen these people. I was like, I have to see this person. I have to see this person. And I just kind of like wandered around the building for a while, just completely with no goal whatsoever, other than just finding people who I haven't seen in forever.
Yeah, there wasn't enough time to catch up with everybody. Like literally, I was buying music, ran into you, and I had to leave you with my wife so I could go purchase the music.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, it was great to see you. Hold on.
It was fantastic. I just kind of like wandered around. I saw the Danielles, Danielle Van Tynen.
That's how we refer
Well,
to
that's
them
what they're
too.
called.
Danielles.
They're the Danielles.
Look great.
I saw
Whenever
Sal
you need help in my band,
Scarpa.
you just scream Danielle, and somebody will come.
Yeah, yeah. I saw Sal. I just ran into like everyone, and it was hugs all around, because it was like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in 3 years.
So what you so I wanted to talk a little bit about like our bands and what how their experiences were, because we have a variety of experiences amongst the three bands that we represent
Right.
here. So we'll start with the champions here, and Tony's band and the Triangle Brass Band, and also like the six bands that you all brought with you. It seems like
Yeah,
who all
our
played
organization
phenomenal.
we had four bands that made the trip. So it was a big project, and a lot of money to get all the bands there. A lot of people invested a lot of time and money to come to this. Triangle Brass Band obviously had a fantastic experience. They played their butts off. The best the band has ever played in my memory with the band, which goes back to 1999. So everybody's really happy about that. I didn't get to spend much time with them because it was because of what I was working. I got to spend the hour we had for our rehearsal, and the hour and a half we did our concert routine, and then I was in and out. And I made sure that I turned my phone off for that hour and a half I was with them, and said, look, you guys get an hour and a half with me right now. This is it. But they played lights out. They, whatever stuff I was going through and working for the contest, they bailed me out and played their absolute best. And all accounts from them is that they had a great experience. Not it's all it's always a good experience when you see success for it. But until they got the awards Saturday night, they had all day Saturday afternoon to just, kind of gel on how they performed. And really the results really wouldn't have mattered because they know that they played lights out and the best that they could possibly play. So, that was the true gift for that and for them. And that's really what the point of going is like, can our band make progress, and, did they do the best that they can? And, that was a success for us. I was thinking about Tampa Brass Band, thinking this is their very first NABBA. They draw band A. Their tuba player gets appendicitis, and then your conductor gets COVID and can't make it. Like, is the universe telling you not to go to NABBA?
We also the contest is done now, so I can tell you this, Tony. We also had when I ran into Amy, I also ran into a cornet player who just happened to be up from the UF band. Because I had a COVID, one of my back row cornet players got COVID at 12, or he messaged me at 12:30 Friday night, and I ran into this guy. He just happened to be buying music. He wasn't competing or anything like that. I was like, "Your name is Sean now, and you're gonna play in the band." And so he sat second row cornet for us. So we had a lot of subs. We were patchwork. We had a sub director, but.
It was fantastic. I was there, and you couldn't. I mean, he was.
Oh no! Right. With the situation, he literally had 2 rehearsals with us and did phenomenally.
Yeah.
The band. I think the cool thing about this is that to see so many extremely talented groups play throughout the entire weekend, right? And you go, even I thought we were very happy with our performance, and we ended up dead last in our section, and we were very happy with it, and we didn't have a bad performance by any means. And so for even that, I think it's just a testament to the other bands. It's like we play really well, and they're playing lights out too, and it's a fun time. And we got really good comment sheets, and it's just like upward onwards. We learned so much of how we're going to interact, and it was funny. I think it was really nice because almost the whole band got to sit together on Saturday and watch Choice Championship section. And I think after all that, after the awards, and we all went out to drinks afterwards and all that sort of a thing, I think everybody, I think it's something like 70% of my band had never done a NABBA before in any capacity whatsoever. And I think all of them had a collective, this is why you all are so passionate about this thing, because now they've got it too. And I messaged one person who is very close to me, and I was like, do you understand why I'm, so invested in this stuff now? And he goes, I'm literally practicing cornet right now. So it was a great experience for us. We're so happy for it to have happened, and our soloists do what they did. I mean, the guy who got the horn third section, Jay Didon, he's a band director. He doesn't compete anymore, and he just did that for the fun of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody so genuinely surprised that he won something. Yeah. It was like watching a kid. It was like watching that video of the kid getting an N64, and he didn't expect it. So it was great.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you guys didn't listen to the universe and you stuck it out and came, and hopefully we'll come back again, because it's like man, your conductor getting COVID and not being able to come. I'm just like, oh my God, that's so wrong, man. Talk about adversity to overcome. Jeez.
Right.
But the good thing is, I mean, and we told Zach this because he did such a phenomenal job with us, that we are going to create an auxiliary conductor position just to keep him around.
I think you should.
Yeah, he earned something.
Fantastic.
Bring him just in case next year.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny too, and it's just but it's also universe telling you not to do it, but also universe saying that we're set up to do it, because a lot of my band, we've got some former Triangle guys, we've got some former Motor City, Detroit area people, JMU, we've got 4 JMU people, and Zach Wadsworth, who ended up being our director, is Tina, who is our actual director, her graduate student, but he played in the JMU band when he got his undergrad.
Okay.
So it's very rare that in Tampa that you would have somebody who has a brass banding background who also happens to be the conducting graduate student with your actual director. So like it's a lot of universe telling you no you shouldn't, but also a lot of you going but you're set up too as well.
Yeah, we got you covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are things for Dublin?
We had a great time. It was clearly my first time playing with Dublin, and I said from kind of when I started with the band, I was like, I need I need some time where I'm either not worrying about needing to be sober enough to drive home, or like a long time away with the band, because you know you need to have that time to actually like bond and make it more than just like you know an ensemble. So spending a bunch of time with the band, I got a lot closer with a lot of the members, got to know them a lot better. um I think we played well. I mean, everyone I talked to, everyone felt like they played as well as they could. And I think that's, you know, what the goal is. We got good feedback that was in a few specific areas, except for percussion. One judge liked our percussion and one kept on saying it was too much. So too bad. Our percussionists are awesome and you get to hear them. um, so so yeah, but the other areas, it was very clear feedback across the board on what we should be doing to continue improving. So that was nice to get that such consistent feedback. um I really enjoyed both pieces that we played. There have been a few years that the test piece either did not fit my particular band, or I personally didn't like it. Um, the the one that comes to mind is not a NABBA one, but it was Goldberg 2012. Oh man, I hated that piece. But I really liked I really liked Facets. I really liked A King's Lie. I really enjoyed playing both of them. It was a really enjoyable experience.
Those are fun tunes. Those are fun tunes.
Yeah, I got to listen to Atlantic. I had to rush back from the rehearsal on Friday night to catch Atlantic, and I got a little bit emotional the first night because it was the first NABBA performance that you know I wasn't with that band. But honestly, I went in thinking that I was going to get emotional because I was like, I'm not with you guys anymore. But in reality, it was more that I got emotional because I just saw my former students like stepping up and being successful with it. And that was a really cool thing to see. Some really great things from my former student Josino, who has improved drastically since I last heard him in order to step up to that solo euphonium role. And so I was really impressed because the stuff that he had to play, especially Saturday night, um, was so difficult, so many extended solo passages, that it was really cool seeing him be successful with that. So that was really cool. So as I said, I went in thinking I was going to be emotional because I wasn't with the band anymore, and it ended up being emotional because I was just so proud of everyone. So it was nice. I felt bad. I was sitting with a San Francisco brass band because I was sitting with um another former Atlantic member, Jacob Gilbo, who had driven like across the country to
Yeah.
get to NABBA. And I wanted to sit next to him because I was like, he's gonna understand what it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So I sat next to him and I'm like teary eyed, and the people from San Francisco were like trying to talk with me and like hang out with me, and I was just, I wasn't rude, I don't think, but I was just kind of like staring straight ahead, like I am like there are tears like streaming down my cheek, and I'm just like I just you know. So the next day I went up to them and I was like, I just wanted to say like I am so sorry if I was rude or anything, you know. Because uh
We're having a moment.
I was having yeah, exactly. I was having a moment. And then they gave me a San Francisco shirt, like their NABBA debut shirt, because they said that I was inspiring to Jacob, and Jacob started San Francisco. And then I had another moment. I was like, oh, so you know, but it was a great weekend. I got to know the Dublin members a lot better. And yeah, good experiences overall.
That's awesome. Yeah, what a weird experience to like switch bands. You know?
After 11, I was in Atlantic for 11 years as solo youth. That I moved back to the US and joined Atlantic. So
yeah, that has to be surreal. I couldn't imagine, doing this with another band besides the Triangle groups that I'm with, because I've been doing it for 20 some years with them. And if some circumstance came out, I was with somebody else, it'd be like, this is weird.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it was like at one point it hit me. I was like, when the band before them was playing, and I was like, I'm not backstage. Like, this is really weird.
Where's my tie?
Yeah, like, where's my tie? Exactly. Like, it was just kind of a weird experience being on the outside of that. I got to see a little bit of their prep, because when I was soloing with the Lancaster Allegro Orchestra, they were like, it was like an hour and a half drive over to Atlantic. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna go right on over and see a little bit of rehearsal. So I got to see their prep a little bit, but seeing them from the outside for the first time in competition was strange, because I've never heard Atlantic at NABBA and not been in it.
Right.
Because I was in the UK, and before that
yeah.
I was in Ohio. So I
right.
I didn't do anything brass band until I moved to the UK. So I I had never heard Atlantic at a competition and not been in it. So that was a little bit surreal.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but it was good. It was nice hearing the sound from the hall for the first time.
Yeah, well, this could probably be a good transition into the actual competition, and how the bands played, but how the judges saw it. Because we've instituted NABBA has instituted a new judging philosophy and approach, and a long awaited criteria based approach to it. Mm-hmm. And I've been intimately involved with this, along with John Bell on the board, and we've used some consultants with this, John Phillips being one, who is one of the foremost, brass music evaluating experts there could be. We also used Joe Allison, who's retired from Eastern Kentucky University and has been a longtime DCI and Bands of America judge. He actually helped us design the score sheet. And sadly, he was set to judge the competition, and he passed away 1 week before NABBA. He passed away last week. Which is just crushing, because he was so valuable in helping us to get this thing set up. It was sad that he couldn't judge the regionals. He was supposed to judge Gateway, and he couldn't do that, and he couldn't do the championships as well. He's been fighting cancer for many years, and we thought he was on the mend, but he wasn't able to beat it, and it took him just one week before this whole thing would have gone live for good. So it's kind of a shame, but we're really thankful that we were able to work with him for the time we had. But that aside, we had the experience working with the judges, because I was with the judges almost the entire weekend, and they were first rate. We had a great experience with all of them. We did many sessions with them prior to the contest over Zoom to talk about the philosophy and the approach and numbers management and all what the rubric is and box placements and things like that. And we also made the best effort we could to get practical experience for those judges by having them judge at Gateway or Dublin. And we were able to do that for everybody except for Paul Levitt Cooper and for Alan Ramsey. Alan Ramsey, the main reason for that is because he filled in for Joe Allison when Joe let us know that he couldn't do it. And it was at that point, it was too late to get him into a regional. And Paul Levitt Cooper, obviously, because, he lives on the other side of the world. It's just impractical to bring him over for it.
But I guess that guy knows a little bit about brass bands anyway. So
yeah, he does. That guy's nuts. He was so much fun to have this weekend. Oh man, I can't even tell you how much fun. You can see at the award ceremony how much fun he was, because that's the way he was all weekend. It was awesome.
I liked his piece too. I like the championship section.
Well, that's a true. I mean, that commission, which took 3 years for it to actually get played. Chris Ward made the contact to the board about the idea for this commission, and it just happened that we were able to make it work, and Paul knocked it out of the park with that, and hopefully that'll be a big standard championship level piece. But man, it was hard. It was really hard. And when you look at the recap sheet for the weekend, the championship section recap sheet kind of looks exactly like it should. The championship section panel just hit that one out of the park. We could spend a lot of time, just doing a rundown of how the scoring came out. But the championship section, was basically called by the test piece. And I attribute that mostly to the fact that it was challenging enough that it really separated the bands in a very clear way. And, and it worked out the way it's supposed to. The judges did a really good job of keeping their spreads accurate and close.
I think it was the most consistent I've ever seen those numbers. Like if you look across the board, for the most part, especially in like section 3 and 2 and 1, it's like 4 4 4 4 3 3 3 3 2 2. Like it was the most consistent I've seen through the judging.
Well, one of the big takeaways that we got, and this is something that you really could only find out by going through it. Okay, and we talked about this pre contest. But a couple of things kind of made this not really happen. One was the timing rule, that was designed to prevent bands from getting timing penalties, which we had 0 timing penalties this year. But that rule, yeah, I know, it's amazing. Everybody did a great job, and the rule was clear. But what it did is it forced the judges to jump straight from the test piece into the choice piece when they're doing the entire, so for everybody but the championship section. And because they didn't have an opportunity to completely tie up and put a number down for the test piece and then move on and do a separate competition for the choice piece, we ended up getting more of a holistic scoring across the choice and test piece. And that wasn't our intention. It was just what just naturally happened because those two things happened together. It was just a natural human instinct for one score to influence the other. It didn't get us a huge change in what the outcome would be. It just gave us something that we learned, that we have to change the optics, or the not the optics, but the logistics of the contest, so that the two things can be judged in a completely separate way. So we'll be having discussions on how to make that happen. But if anybody wants to know what a recap should look like under this system, the championship section is what it should look like. And the choice piece, you can look at the ordinals for the choice piece for the championship section, and the numbers are all the ordinals are all over the place. Because the judges have their own opinions and they have how they see things. But what they don't do, and they weren't allowed to do, and what they didn't do, is they didn't put the spread so far apart that it overweighted one judge's opinion over the other. which is something that could really call a contest. So the system did its job when the judges didn't have agreements on how they saw things, which is absolutely acceptable. You can't expect three different people have three different experiences in their life to come to the exact same conclusion, all the time, especially when you add the variable that they're not playing the same repertoire.
When I listened to Choice Piece Night for championship section, I did not envy the judges. I was like, man, like everybody played lights out. I thought almost every band had the best on their Choice Piece Night. Every band had the best performance that I remember hearing them. Granted, it's been a while since the last time I've heard a lot of these bands, but all of them, I was like, nope, yep, good. Oh no, what? Well, I'm glad I'm not judging. I don't have to make this call. But like you said, the test piece did what it did. It tested bands.
Yeah, and the weighting did what it's supposed to do. It made the test piece the most important part of the contest, which it's supposed to do. And in the other sections, while we have a lot of faith that the outcomes were accurate and reliable, because the judges, were using the criteria and putting bands based on that. The judges were not allowed to share scores. In our practice, the judges are allowed to confer after the first band to double check that they're all in the same ballpark. Say, I'm in the middle of box 3, I'm in the bottom of box 3 or something like that, but not scores. They don't share scores at all. So that they figure out, are we all in the right ballpark? Are we all hearing this the same way? And from that on, it's all on them. So we need to establish a baseline. So they establish a baseline that they're all in the same area. And then from that point on, it's impression analysis and comparison. And if you're going to compare bands, you can't compare bands starting from the first one if they're wackadoodle from the beginning. If you have somebody that's in top of box 4 and somebody that's in the top of box 3 for the first band, the whole thing's going to be skewed for the whole rest of the section. And there's a lot of research that has gone into this. We've spent hours and hours and hours, talking and figuring out what's the best way to do this. And and after going through it, we still know, we knew that this is going to take a couple of years to actually develop it into the perfect system. But I assessed it as somewhere between a double and a triple, mostly a triple, because we did have some things that happened that we said, okay, well, we need to adjust that to make sure that we get that more consistent with what we're looking for. But the quality of the adjudicators were great. We had a slightly different approach that we took on this, and I know that some people are kind of scratching their heads about it, but we're kind of hoping that they just kind of trust us. Is that we've had a lot of feedback about getting diversity in the judging pool, and we made sure that we had diversity in the judging pool. And that also meant that we got new judges. And when you enter into a new system, we had to make sure that there are people who knew how to use the system. And, we brought people in. So we had somebody on each panel that, we knew they could hybrid from their experiences and being expert brass people, but great evaluators and knew how to use the system, and combine them with, people that we knew were great brass band minds. So, so we had one person on each panel. T. Phillips was on one panel and John Phillips was on the other panel, who were just expert, top of the line evaluators and experts in the system that we're trying to use. And they're having them in the room with the discussions with, Paul Levitt Cooper, Jess Sneeringer, Paul, Alan Ramsey, and Jack Stamp, who are all the brass band, historical brass band judges types. It just made it all that more easy for them to understand, and if they had any questions about this, then they had somebody with them all day long that they could say, hey, what do you think about, what does the system say about this? What do we need to do for this? So we feel, I feel really good about the step that we took with this. And of course we'll be evaluating it and listening to tapes. Everybody I've heard said they love the comments that they've gotten so far, but we're going to listen. We have the ability to listen to all of the judges' comments from every band, and listen to what their comments are and give advice and work on trying to improve the evaluation from that standpoint as well. So, that's the basic rundown of the judging part of this.
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see, I know in the UK, they have like judging training sessions where like people who would like to become brass band judges can take like a training session and they can practice adjudicating, they can learn how it works, and then they can start working up, through like the youth sections, the third section bands, and then eventually years later start, bumping up into the system.
Yeah. Well,
I'd love to see NABBA doing something like that in the future.
Yeah, we're not just handling this adjudication problem, that's not a problem, but this adjudication program with just the championships. It's kind of a long-term holistic approach to, to handling judging across brass banding in North America. We started off with partnering with two regionals, Dublin and Gateway, and made sure that the first group that's going to judge this championships on this system had practical experience doing it. We'll be expanding into other regionals. We'll kind of back into another topic of conversation, but we're adding and partnering with more regionals next year, and providing adjudication or evaluation. Some don't, some won't be a competition, but there'll be evaluation there where the judges can get used to that. So instead of having 6 people, now we're going to need 12 people, which is more opportunity. When you have one contest a year, there's not a lot of opportunity for growing a judging pool. When you have 12 opportunities and you have 15 opportunities, then now you can start to bring in new people. We have had discussions and have tried to lay the groundwork for creating a judges academy. But the focus had to be on getting this first step right.
Right.
So it's not going to be too long or too far away that we are actually going to create a judges academies for people who are interested in doing that. But right now our focus is building a judges pool that we know is going to be reliable. So we're kind of targeting those people and inviting them in first, so that we, because we have to take care of the right now first, and then 10 years from now, who knows what it's going to be.
Yeah, because in so many ways, this particular NABBA was a reset of sorts. Because it does stink that we haven't had one for 3 years, but it also did have the opportunity. New venue, none of us have been around each other for like 3 years. It knew a lot of new board, so it was a nice opportunity for that. But like you said, we have to start here to build. But it's funny because like those conversations are happening. I feel like a lot of these things, like the regionals and stuff, it's not a matter of if, it's just when, and getting the resources to make it happen.
Yeah. So this, it's not just okay, we took care of the judging for this year. Now what's next? We did what we're doing this year with, another level built into it that's going to go into effect for this year, and another level that's going to go into effect for the next year. So there's a long game of chess going on, rather than, a short game of, just one time, let's get through this year and we'll see what happens next year. So now this is all inside baseball. It's inside board discussions and inside the contest committee. So the general public doesn't know these things, but hopefully they have enough faith in us to know that we're doing everything we can to make the adjudication part of this the most reliable and educational part of the experience for them.
I think this partial, like, seeing behind the curtain in this podcast episode is really helpful, because sometimes for someone who's not on the board to participate in NABBA, you see the end result of the decisions, but you don't see like the whole multi-year plan. You don't see the decision-making process and the reasons behind it. And so having this opportunity, I think, to talk about some of these things can really inform people who were at the championship and participating in these bands, so that they understand like what the long game is.
Yeah, well, we intentionally don't talk about those things on this podcast. This is not a NABBA podcast.
Right. It's just
you
that
know,
that right around NABBA we're doing like
Yeah,
these
yeah,
few
but
extra episodes.
but yeah, we do have access to a lot of inside information right here, right now. But I think if this podcast were all about that, I think it would be boring.
Yeah, let me tell you,
Right.
if you guys want to know what it was like backstage for all the first section, I got you. I was there. It happened.
Yeah.
Amy walked right past me. I waved at Amy as she was walking onto the stage.